All right, next video. So sometimes I like to watch videos that maybe you guys don't, and this might be one of them. So if you didn't see, there was like a couple of strange updates for games that have come out over the past days. Number one was an update for No Man's Sky. Number two was Hogwarts Legacy just came out and said, hey, you can now mod our game and anyone can download the mods and play them. So we have Luke Stevens. I guess he did a video on this. He said, I tried the new Hogwarts Legacy mods, ... Now, I don't know if that means it's broken. And also, he has a humble brag going on here because he has a giant definitive edition of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 down in the bottom corner for PlayStation. And that comes out next week. And I really want to play it. And I was supposed to get it early, but here we are. So I think we might actually, there's like 2 games coming out next week that I might stream. So I got to look into that a little bit more. But let's see what he says about Hogwarts.
Today is the PC Extravaganza Day because they're releasing not just Spider-Man 2 on PC, but also Hogwarts Legacy with mods. And I have it running. You can even do things like swap out all of your mounts for dragons. So you
dope. Dragons everywhere.
Just ride the dragons around.
Oh, I'm in
They
his
have
way.
all sorts of cosmetic mods. They even have some questing mods and additional things like.
So that's what I'm most interested in, because we know Hogwarts has just this massive community. When this game came out, it was like the biggest game, absolutely massive. If people can make their own missions or even do like build a modded campaign of the Harry Potter story, someone will do it. Which is
like
huge.
An endless dungeon and stuff like that. And I want to show it to you and talk a little bit about the future of Hogwarts Legacy, because we do know a good amount about what's coming next beyond the mod update, what we expect to see with
something happened with the future game, like the next Hogwarts game as well, that I want to like say, and I'm sure he'll get to it.
not
so
just
we'll
the
pipe in with
director's
that.
cut, because yes, there's going to be a director's cut, but also for a rumored sequel.
Yeah.
Not even rumored at this point. I mean, we
It's
pretty much
confirmed.
know it's coming. So we're going to talk about all of that stuff and do it right now. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like it, subscribe for more content, because that's what I tend to do. And there is a big video coming for a hotly anticipated game that
I told you it's down here. I told you he was gonna humble brag about it.
is coming very, very soon, and that I cannot wait to talk about. So make sure to subscribe for that review. But with all that said, let's just get into it. I'll show you how these mods work, what is currently available in the game, and how to get it going. Okay, so how this works is when you go to the main menu there.
So I'm just gonna be clear. Some mods for certain games are dumb. Like, I don't really care about outfits and things like that, but Instant Plants, awesome. Dungeon of Doom, awesome. Dakita House of Kraken, awesome. So why does my video player always do this?
Section for mods, and once you pull that open, you'll see a full list of all sorts of different mods that are currently built in. Now, it's important to understand that all of these mods that are listed currently were produced before this was public. The idea, though, is that now that it's public for everybody on Earth playing the game on PC, you should start to see a lot more community built mods, not just mods built for the game prior to its launch. You can see, even though this just launched a few minutes ago, they already have these mods uploaded, available. This was last updated 12/22 of 24, which suggests that they've been preparing this mod launch for a little while. And you can see I've already got it downloaded. Once you download it, what you do next is you select one of your save files to be the host basically for your mods, and then you enable them and you're good to boot in. Now, to their credit, as far as I can tell, there's no paid mod component to this, which
I am impressed by. Dude, like Bethesda, we've seen it happen where they're like, we're gonna put mods for everyone, but you gotta pay for them now. And the modding community is like, dude, we already do this for free. So, like, what are you doing here?
I mean, it's a little funny. You'd think that they would have done that because so many other companies, Bethesda, has done that for easy live service, long-term revenue, you know? But I mean, to their credit, they're not doing that. It is just available to people for free. And I got to give them credit, because I would not have expected that.
I wouldn't have either.
Given Warner Brothers track record. I mean, they're the same guys that did Suicide Squad just last year, so I wouldn't put it past them to be a little greedy with stuff.
So
but
I believe that
again,
this is normally the Broom, and he's currently on a dragon.
Credit, they've not done that. It's just all free mods right now. Now, my expectation would be that eventually maybe they ponder doing paid mods where it's like, oh, you pay $5 for this mod to support the mod creator, and yes, we take 30% or 40% or 50%, whatever it is.
It might eventually.
As of right now, there's nothing like that in the game. All of this is just free, and maybe that's the intention, to keep it free. Either way, as of today, this is a free update that brings a bunch of new content, a bunch of new stuff, which is, I mean, nothing but a W, so props. Now, they have all sorts of mods. They have mods that add new outfits. They have mods that add new, like, broom styles. Of course, this one is just a dragon. Doesn't really fit in screen anymore. They have, you know, these are regular ones from in-game. They have different dragons for you to ride if you see fit.
I love how it comes up as a broom.
There really is a lot. Whether you just want to, like, change up the fashion of NPCs, swap out what they wear, if you want to unlock all spells, if you want to unlock all brooms so you don't have to grind for them, if you want to maybe swap out some audio stuff. Looks like they don't have any mods for that now, but I would imagine you can change it so every time you use...
Like, all of those don't matter too much to me. It's like where you get into, like, the gameplay and extra quests and things like that.
Your wand,
I hope he does goes through it
sound or something. There's a bunch of stuff already, but again, this is only going to get more and more built out as time goes by, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of ridiculous mods created as well. Then there's some other quality of life ones, like this one. You can see Alohomora auto solve, so you don't have to do the mini game anymore. There's a mod to just totally skip the intro of the game if you just want to get right into a new save, maybe to play the entire game through with mods from the start. You could do that. There's other mods that simplify photo mode, give you max talent points if you just want to, like, crank it and go crazy, and then even a cheat plus mod, which is certainly going to be useful if you want to really push the game to its boundaries and figure out how the inner workings of the game actually function, which is kind of cool. What is this mod? Load Steamboat Willie's livestock. Help Steamboat Willie stock his ship. Willie needs some help gathering some animals to deliver. Find him in Glad Drags in Hogsmeade to see what he's looking for. This mod adds a new quest for Steamboat Willie, along with the capability to capture farm animals for him and for yourself.
It's like Steamboat Willie for Disney meets Noah's Ark.
There's even a reward for you at the end. They just... Okay.
Have we got around to watching Badger's video yet? No, not yet. I think we might get a chance to today. I'm not sure. I didn't
expect this mod, but okay. See what I mean? Like, there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff in here. I'm installing it. I don't even care. But this is where I think these mods can actually really, really help games like Hogwarts Legacy, which are, you know, decent single player games and adventures. But once you've played through all the side quests, there's not a whole lot of incentive to go back and do it again, other than just for the fun of it, I guess. But you can see that there's added things like new dungeons. So this one's Sam's dungeon. It just adds a whole new dungeon to the game. If you want to just do puzzles and stuff, it shows you where to find it. That's cool. They have this one, the Dungeon of Doom. This is one that was shown in some of the promotional materials for this. As you can see, they outline where to find it. This is like one of the big title mods for this, and you can see they outline where to find it there. But you know,
dude, like when people, this is what I'm saying, like when people get their hands on this and like can make their own missions and can like do things, like create things from like the actual Harry Potter series, this could be huge.
Why talk about stuff when we can actually go there? So let's go see this Dungeon of Doom mod and see what it's like. So let's head on over and see what we're dealing with. I will say the game is running a good bit smoother than the last time I booted it up. Last time I tried playing it, it was a little bit rough, if I'm being real, but it does look to be running better than before. They've optimized it a good bit, which is always a pleasant surprise when you boot into these games, because Hogwarts Legacy was one of those games that like never ran that well, but it was still fun and worth checking out, you know. But now this seems to be working much more smoothly, which I can appreciate. And yeah, I think this is it. You see a little light post and a big archway of stone. Let's enter the Dungeon of Doom.
So it's like literally just like in the side of a rock.
I'm personally really excited to see what they do. I mean, I would expect there's the possibility for people to recreate like even some of the movies and stuff.
That's exactly what I was saying.
And ooh, this is cool.
Like someone's got to make a wizard chest thing, right? Like where you...
Oh, I'm out of practice with my combat. I'm not ready for this. Oh God. Next room. Okay. My understanding is this mod is basically just a big combat challenge. It's just a series
is it never ending?
of encounters if you want to really push yourself with the combat system. It's just kind of like a never-ending boss rush mode, which I'm okay with. I like boss rush modes. And I mean, it's something that the base game didn't really have. They had some things like the Dark Arts Arena and the different arenas for trying out different combos and combat abilities and stuff. And that stuff's always cool, but this seems like a much more sorted and specifically endless version of that, which I'm always here for. But like I said, there's other quest lines that are also here, such as our one for Steamboat
I've got to see
Willie.
this.
And if we go in here, who's that? Who's chilling with us? Who's this guy? Hiya, pal. Do you think you can give me a hand?
Oh, hi.
My boss is gonna have my head if I don't get it.
Oh, so they don't actually have voice lines, but you can see down at the bottom.
I'm sorry. When I sat down to make this video, I did not know that this was a mod that was in the game, but straight up, it is. You can just help out, not Mickey Mouse, Steamboat Willie, to be very, very clear. This is not Mickey Mouse. You can help out Steamboat Willie so that he doesn't get decapitated by his boss. But like this is one of the cool things about adding mods is it just creates a new life for these games. And I mean, you just have to look at something like Skyrim to appreciate
This is the Thomas the Tank Engine turning dragons into Thomas the Tank Engine. I know this before it even like
usefulness, I guess, of mods and how mods can add a new life, a second wind to otherwise, very successful games that didn't need any help to begin with. But it's amazing what mods can do to just add gameplay, to add new quest lines.
So he is going to get into
mechanics,
what happens next with Hogwarts Legacy, which
to optimize
is
it, to make it run better. It really is a magical potion that games can get to just get a second wind. But I'm probably not the only one that's surprised that they are doing a free update for this game, because there's been some happenings within Warner Brothers which have been discouraging, frankly. CEO. Number one, the guy who up until very recently has been the head of gaming basically for Warner Brothers, he recently stepped down. And by recently, I mean like a week or two ago. We talked about it on Luke Stevens Live, my streaming channel. I don't know if I've talked about this on already stream, or we talk about all this stuff right as it's breaking. But as part of that departure, it seems like he was one of the few people that was still like, he understood why Hogwarts Legacy was a success. He understood why it was so popular. He didn't want it to be a live service game. And he was not for the big live service push. He was not for the big, like, desire for Suicide Squad-esque games from all of their IP. It seems like he's the guy that was still rooting for single-player stuff, to his credit, and he's gone now. And this is worrisome to somebody like me, because they have been very, very clear that they believe the future of their gaming business
and Hogwarts Legacy
with live service. That's where they're going to make their money. That's how they're going to continue growing the gaming business, is by turning all of their IP into live service stuff. Warner Brothers Discovery is in financial straits, to say the very, very least. And so they really, really need to find ways to get their gaming IP popping off, making tons of money. And to be clear, I think some people within the company understand why Hogwarts Legacy did so well, because it was this game people had dreamt of, being able to explore the castle fully, being able to just role play basically as a student at Hogwarts. That for a lot of people was their dream game, and this finally gave them access to that. And it was single player. It wasn't over monetized out the ass. It was just a really solid game. Was it a masterpiece? Personally, I don't think so.
But I think he's going to get into the sequel part of this. So that's what he's talking about. Is this game is not going to be a live service game, but the worry is about the sequel being the live service game.
A masterpiece for the kind of people that wanted this game, for the people that had dreamt of this game since they were a kid watching the movies or reading the books. And I'm worried that now they're losing sight of that, and they're thinking that Hogwarts Legacy is just another IP to pump live service stuff into, like they did with Suicide Squad. Because again, the same company that made Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, made this, and they acted as though Hogwarts Legacy was a happy little accident, as opposed to something much more predictable in terms of its like success. But the free mod update gives me pause. It makes me wonder, okay, do they understand? Are they just talking a big game for investors when they hype it up and say, oh, we're totally going to make everything live service. We're totally, going to take all of our IP and turn them into multiplayer games that are living and breathing and have seasonal updates and stuff with paid DLC regularly. Maybe they're just saying that for investors and they actually do get it. Maybe they actually
To be clear, I think they could do a cool Hogwarts Legacy game, almost Destiny style, but I don't want that.
understand why this game popped off and connected with so many people. And I personally really hope that that's what's going on, because I would hate to see them release like Hogwarts Legacy 2 and it's a 4-player looter shooter, which you never know. I mean, the idea that we were going to get a 4-player looter shooter around Suicide Squad was kind of insane for a lot of people for a long time. And then of course that ended up happening. But I mean, I would be shocked if they did that with this, but you never know. It's Warner Brothers. You never know. You just never know with them. But here's a few things we do know. We do know that some of the team that worked on, ironically enough, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, were reassigned to work on a Hogwarts Legacy director's cut. They were not working on this mod update. Jason Schreier reported in June that they were working on.
So what does that mean exactly?
Cut
like, what does that mean?
Which implies added content. It implies maybe some graphical updates and upgrades. It's not just as simple as a re-release.
Probably a couple of added missions.
Like a couple of new menu options for graphic settings. It implies that there's a director's cut. There's more content than was previously there because the director cut some of it out, so they are allegedly working on that, a big update to the game, and they've been hiring like crazy to prepare for the sequel.
Yeah, so this is where things get interesting.
Whatever that's called, Hogwarts Legacy 2 or whatever, who knows. But I've been following the job listings, which you can actually sign up for. And the reason I've been following those job updates is because I wanted to know if they've been looking to hire anybody with live service experience, because that's usually a red flag. That usually tells you, okay, if they're hiring somebody that specializes in microtransaction pricing and integration, that tells you that that team is probably going to be doing something with microtransactions, right? And then you can kind of prepare for it. And more importantly, I think we can vocalize how much we would not like that so that they can pivot away from it and not make that mistake. But in the months I've been following all of those job postings, of which there have been dozens upon dozens, they are hiring like mad for it. Not one has listed microtransactions, has listed live service game experience or anything like that. The closest is that they've mentioned in some job postings that they want experience with live ops, which just means live operations. And that could mean a live service game, but more likely it just...
Maybe they'll go the way of Assassin's Creed where they sell skins and XP boosts. It's like, what's the point for a single player game, right? Like, just sell the game, make the game really, really good.
This refers to the operation of many game companies, which is that they do live updates, regular updates. They'll add in things like a mod update. They'll go in and maybe fix a bug or something. It's a live operation. They aren't just releasing it and dropping it. And they've posted stuff suggesting that they want experience with managing those types of updates, specifically in the roles of like producers,
could look like a live service thing, but maybe not.
Roles such as programming and things like that they've sought for. But recently, mostly they've been hiring artists, concept artists. They've hired some gameplay designers and stuff like that. But for the most part, it looks like they are hiring people that will help realize a big environment that's very ambitious, which makes me think we might be going to London in the next game. And
to
also, of
foggy
course, have the
London
castle
town
and stuff. But it seems like they're going to be expanding the game a lot more than was previously expected.
So bring it outside of the magical world into the real world.
Okay, we're just going to do another year. We're going to be like a year older and just do another year of classes at Hogwarts, and there'll be a new bad guy, and that's what we're doing, kind of like the movies. But no, it seems like they're actually going to go very ambitious with it and go even crazier. And maybe they do that by, having an annual expansion, and they sort of approach it the way that Ubisoft approach.
They could do that, right? Where they have do expansions.
Assassin's Creed, like they did with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, for example, where it was a single player game, but it was almost like an MMO in the way they handled it. It was really, really bizarre because they had many, many free updates, many free like gameplay updates to that game. And they also went in and, you know, had expansions and paid cosmetics.
Well, because 20 million people bought the game, so they tried to milk it.
$1 billion.
Yeah.
And Hogwarts Legacy made about $1 billion itself without any of those expansions. So I'm sure Ubisoft is an inspiration, ironically enough, for Warner Brothers. And they're looking at that and being like, how can we get some of that Assassin's Creed type of money?
That's funny that you just said that, Arm, about Assassin's Creed. And
Assassin's Creed is huge. Harry Potter, though, is a lot bigger. It's on another level. And so if they can find a way to create that single player game that also has like annual expansions or maybe 2 expansions a year, that I'm sure would get the executives at Warner Brothers giggly and excited. But ultimately, all of this really does just sit on the shoulders of the game directors over at Avalanche, the team behind Hogwarts Legacy. It sits on the shoulders of the people that are producing the game, talking with the executives and negotiating what they're going to do and what they have to pull off. And I mean, to their credit, I do think they've put their foot down with the first game and said, no, we're going single player. That's what we're doing. That's what players want.
Man, that's the most positive take on this I've heard.
To pull it off. I mean, it's really quite impressive that they were able to pull it off in the face of Warner Brothers at the same time working on games like Suicide Squad. But I do think that if they were to ever have leverage, it would be after the success of Hogwarts Legacy.
That's true.
If there was ever a time where a studio could go,
look,
no,
it
Mr.
worked.
Executive, you're listening to me now.
Yeah, look, it worked.
It would be after the smash hit that was Hogwarts Legacy. It sold more copies than Call of Duty did in 2023. That's insane. Like, I don't know how else to quantify it than it was bigger than the biggest gaming franchise on the planet. It was bigger than any other gaming thing that year. It's like so unfathomably successful. And bear in mind, Hogwarts Legacy was also victim to a pretty massive campaign for it to be quote unquote canceled because of J.K. Rowling's past statements.
If anything,
on
that
Twitter.
helped.
And I mean, we even ran into situations on stream when I played this on stream when it first launched, where some of those people that were calling for the game to be like boycotted came into our chat and like typed out like the no word, like the big word you never ever say or type or anything. They typed that word out in all caps in our chat, one letter at a time, to try and flood the chat with that word to, I guess, get our stream shut down. Like,
so cool.
And at some point you would think, if you were doing that, it's like, are we the bad guys? Are like, if you think that that's okay to make your point, maybe you're the bad guys. Maybe you're in the wrong if that's what you're doing. It was so crazy. But in the face of all of that, the game popped off to be the biggest game of the year, and
like
really
like
the
that
only
help.
smash
No
hit
Russian
that Warner
helps
Brothers
Call
has
of
had
Duty.
in their gaming division.
Like, this is not a surprise that things like controversy
and now
helps.
they are going on and supporting Hogwarts Legacy. They're still doing these free updates, which is awesome, and they have other games that are coming down the slope, such as the Wonder Woman game, which is coming from Monolith, the same guys that did the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War games.
Interesting.
So they have some other single player stuff in the works, but after you hear them say so many times in investor calls and stuff that they are focused on making all of their games live service and focusing on that first and foremost and transforming their biggest IP into live service and mobile games, it's like, at some point, you probably have to believe them when they tell you that's what they're doing. But then they go and their actions speak louder than their words, and they're supporting these games for free with single-player content updates. So I don't know what to believe. I'm thoroughly confused. They tell investors they're going live service, multiplayer focused, with everything heavily monetized and focused on multiplayer and all of that. And then they're supporting stuff like this, and then they clarify that Monolith is not doing anything with multiplayer. Their game is going to be single player. So I guess at some point you got to believe them. What was that? That was weird.
Though?
Like red circles around
the
him.
Suicide Squad
like a bug,
really screwed up a bunch of their reputation.
Odd. Huh. I don't know what that was. Play that back. Am I crazy?
What are we looking at?
Anyway, I hope that the guy that just stepped down was not the only one.
So essentially, this is what it comes down to. I don't think we need to play that out anymore. Hogwarts is showing us a track record of, okay, we're single player, we're going to support it in a similar way that Skyrim is done without getting you to pay for it. Will that change? Maybe. Maybe they're trying to find another road to that everlasting money that live service games come from. And maybe they're trying to do that with mods. But as of right now, they're not. So what they're showing us is that is not the case. Wonder Woman is showing that that is not the case. Hopefully, what we are seeing here is Suicide Squad came out, big failure. Warner Brothers just went, okay, wait a minute. This doesn't work. But we see something that does. Taking big IPs that we have access to, because we're Warner Brothers, and making great games out of them. And you have to assume that that is what they are seeing. You have to.